I just saw this great video, and I was trying to duet it, of course, because it's great. It wouldn't let me do it. I mean, not that other ones aren't, but for whatever. But this one's really important to recognize because, and I'll repost the video if it'll let me do that. But what this guy was saying is he's always been a Democrat and he's voting for Trump, and he said the only thing the Democrats are right about when it comes to Trump is that he's a divider, which is a good thing. That's why, and actually, this guy goes on to quote Luke, specific words that Jesus said, that he didn't come here to bring peace. He didn't come here to bring everybody united. The people he came to unite were the people that wanted to follow him. Oh, there's a whole side that loves to twist that, don't they? They love to twist that. We just all need to be united. Yeah, I don't unite with socialists. I don't unite with communists. Absolutely not. So that's a very important point because Jesus has been, that's why it's been so watered down what Jesus' word is by the churches. That, we just have to love everybody. And no, Jesus did not want you to love evil. And Jesus did not want you to sit back and never speak up to the wrongdoings and just wait for him to come and fix everything for you. That's what Jesus called out, those damn Pharisees, because that's what they were doing. They should have known who he was. And who knew who he was? The nobodies. I say it all the time. The people that knew who he was the nobodies. It was the hard workers. It was the farmers. It was the uneducated or poorly educated. It was the tax collector. Those were the people that Jesus knew would know who he was. They weren't some spiritual scholar. They weren't some higher educated, elite. No, they were just everyday people trying to make it in a world full of nothing but corruption and cruelty. That's who he went to. So he certainly wasn't here to bring everybody together because he didn't want to be together. That's the other thing that's been watered down, okay? Is that Jesus wanted to reach everybody. True. But he knew that there was people that was just like waste of time. Now, that's not for us to judge, but we should call out the people that are deliberately trying to take the country into chaos. And that is what is happening right now. And Trump is a divider. Rightfully so. I see, people talk about 9/11 and how it was such a moving day because everybody came together. Yeah, I guess so. But, a lot of it was phony. It just was. The Democrats weren't going to change. And the rhinos. There's people that just don't have any respect for our Constitution. There's people that just hate it. And so Trump didn't run. I mean, yes, would he like to unite everybody? Yeah, people that are morally sound, people that realize that this system does not work. So when the media carries on about Trump's going to destroy the whole system, what a lot of us think is good. Good. Because it doesn't work. The Constitution was made for, who the Constitution was written for? It was written for those 12 apostles. It was written for those type of people. That's who it was written for. I'm not saying it was written because you had to believe in Jesus. I'm saying that it was written for the everyday people. And what has happened is the government has created all these associations of bullshit, most especially in healthcare, that talk out of both sides of their face and tell you we're fighting your cause. And then on the other hand, they're fighting corporate's cause. And since corporate doesn't seem to know how to do the right thing, and I don't know what you do about that, but there definitely is a divide here. And there's definitely many I don't want to come to unity with. But you know what happens when people finally realize that united didn't mean coming together with your enemies? It means that then you get those people that will say, okay, yeah, we'll sign on to your idea. But then they slowly, like they've done over the history of America, still try to move Americans and move the whole country into a socialist entity. We already are a socialist country. The politicians treat us like it's a socialist country. Joe Biden thinks that he has a right to just take people's guns, or that the Second Amendment or the First Amendment. You see how disrespectful they are to our Constitution. So Jesus was not about uniting. He said he was about dividing. And that is what makes Trump a great president. Because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to negotiate with wickedness. If you want to come away from your wickedness, if you want to come away from your socialist ideas, if you want to come away from your communist ideals and Marxism ideas, then yes, there's much room to negotiate things. But if we had stuck to our Constitution, had we stuck to that, we would be fine. We would not recognize what this country could be, but we didn't. Slowly, inch by inch, regulatory agency, CDC, HHS, the Department of Ed, one after another regulatory agency came in and said, you can do this, you can't do this. You teachers can do this, but you can't do this. You nurses, you can do this, but you can't do this. And then what those damn agencies do, those associations too, that are all tied to that federal government, is they trample all over freedom. While they tell themselves, I guess, in some haze in their mind, that no, I'm standing up for health care. No, none of you are. None of you are. The people standing up for health care are the people that are everyday nurses or everyday doctors that see that, no, you have made everything worse. You have made everything worse. You don't want to admit it because the people at the top of your organizations know they serve that socialist government. So yes, I want Trump to destroy the socialist system. And I don't mean in some violent, literal way. I want him to disempower every one of them so that the everyday people, you and I, the people not tied to some, fraternity, not tied to some sorority that only promotes the people within their sorority, but serves the people, the everyday people, which is what our Constitution was made for. Our Constitution was to regulate and stop the federal government from doing what they're doing right now. We live under socialism. We are already there. Where your nursing and education and every other agency and association are pulling us towards this communism. And that's what I already see, actually. I mean, I work with nurses, and I know how they feel. You were treated like slaves. You would never think we live in America. And yet my chief nursing officer comes from an association, yet has no psych background. None. So she was placed there for a reason. Because she most certainly doesn't seem to care all that much about mental health, because all over her Twitter, all she posts about is how great Emergency Nurses Association is. Yeah, well, not so great in my opinion. Because why is an emergency room nurse a chief nursing officer of a freestanding psych facility? Well, because she'll do the bidding for corporate. She'll do the bidding for communism. And maybe somewhere in her head, she's been brainwashed and trained or manipulated to think, no, this is going to make everything better. No, all of your medical associations for the past 20, 40 years, okay, have been saying, no, it's to make this better, it's to make that better, and it's worse than it ever has been. So clearly, they're nothing but an arm of the government that is destroying the entire country. So it's time to stop following them. It's time to stop listening to them. If these are nurses that want to do the bidding for corporate assholes like the one I work for, okay? Then you know what? Don't call yourself a nurse. Don't stand on the nursing profession. And yeah, you'll get tons of awards because the damn CEO I work for has gotten awards for being the best CEO ever. Yet he's a total dirtbag. In my opinion, the place I work at, you're better off not going into the hospital, seeking help outside the hospital, because all they give a shit is getting whatever federal money they can out of the system, and not a bit of care is there. And I don't mean that nurses there don't care. They do. But it's a system that's just trying to destroy everybody. So yes, Trump is about dividing us from the enemies of this country.